Welcome to Camnet TV main news with Banda Tandiwe. The headlines. Government says national values and principles are critical to national development. Police summon MMD President Neves MUMBA. UPND warns its members to stay away from President LUNGU in Southern Province. In our international news, 140,000 homes damaged due to floods in Sudan. And in our sports news, FA's Under-15 North Macedonia clash deferred to Saturday. Do join us with the details after this break.
Msika is here. We have you all covered with just 150 kwacha. You can advertise every day from 17 hours to 18 hours. For a 30-second ad, get the benefit of selling your products and services on Msika. For more details, call our marketing department on +260 953 995099 +260 962 444 726 or +260 971 177 467. Email us on info@camnettvafrica.com. Terms and conditions apply. National Matters tonight at 20:30 hours, Pastor Moses Chiluba will be joined by Engineer Bernard Chiwala and Dr. Kachaka as they discuss agriculture and national empowerment. They will also highlight more on the coming event, National Matters Conference, which will be held on the 24th and 25th of September 2020. Make a date, don't miss.
You're still watching Camnet TV, not just another channel. In our stories making headlines, new information has emerged in the defilement case of the 11-year-old girl of Lusaka's Kanyama compound who was allegedly defiled by her 76-year-old grandfather. It is alleged that the victim, who is in grade 7, was defiled by both her grandfather and by her class teacher continuously. Camnet TV aired on the 21st of September 2020. However, the father to the victim expressed disappointment at the matter in which police are handling the case. He disclosed to Camnet TV that they took the teacher to the police, but the officers are refusing to apprehend him, claiming that it was wrong for the family to alert the media before the issue was dealt with. By broadcast time, the police at Kanyama Los Angeles Police Station had refused to apprehend the teacher, despite the victim giving her full detailed story. More details in this report.
The man she thought was a guardian angel to save her from her 76-year-old grandfather, who continued defiling her at every opportunity he got, it turns the man she trusted was worse than her nightmares. The story of the 11-year-old girl of Lusaka's Kanyama compound, who is a victim of sexual abuse, has a turn of event after it has been revealed that not only was the grandfather defiling her, but her class teacher too. It is alleged that Mary, not her real name, would confide in her teacher every time her 76-year-old grandfather would sexually abuse her when his wife refused to meet his sexual demand. The teacher, who saw an opportunity, allegedly started defiling her as well. The victim, who has now been relocated to a safe place, was taken to the University Teaching Hospital, where a medical examination conducted showed that she sustained several bruises on her private part due to continued sexual abuse. Camnet TV got in touch with the victim's father, who expressed sadness in the way the officers have been handling this situation.
Ujamwana kujawambia siweze kumugona. Mwana kwa complain na kunabba kwa soba. Naendo complain na kulitisha wake. So after complain na kulitisha wake, teacher wake na hivi kapena naga za bwanji, na hivi na kumkomena kwa kuja kwamba kumugona. Mwana eka ndio mina londoro yonkani. So mwana ujana so wako chali kwa kuchanga peleke ripo. So every time mwana kaenda yofuru amukomena moja mchani, amugona moja mwana. So mwana tipa mena manjane, inabula manje nkani jasa bwanji, yamveka manje. So inve kuja teacher mwana kusha kuzidefenda, jia kumukisha bwanji, kubwera kuja kunyumba nisinaivo kuja manja urura kai kuja bauza kuti bambuye ze kunigona na kubwera kuna wambu upanga chongo. So kitu na kwamba kuzidefenda hizo kuzifanya ine sindine ni wambuye lake na kama ni wambuye lake nasijile mo but yeye mwene wake alondorola si atisha zo nigonga bambuye ze kunigona. Futa wa polisi mtenga ni umuntu mufaka masozi denti bwe naye mwana huko. Beba wa polisi kuja bakala singa msake umaseozi atalibe mlandu tiki ndiye ndizo ndamene batuza sasa mati imwe ngati mukamba fonchi kuti vamene muziva vinango vamene vilipo ndala tinise chikamba mwana ni mung'ono mukamuyangana mamene ali bati akamba.
The father is now calling upon all well-wishers to help in solving the case, and by broadcast time the officers at Los Angeles Police Post had refused to apprehend the teacher for the alleged offense despite the victim's testimony. On the 22nd of September 2020, her grandfather, the perpetrator, went into hiding after being tipped that police were on their way to arrest him. However, since then, the man has been on the run. Miriam Kemba, reporting for Camnet TV News in Lusaka.
In a related development, Lusaka Magistrate Tandose Chavala has set 7th October 2020 as Day of Defense for the 32-year-old ZAF officer who is accused of abusing and torturing her 11-year-old niece. This is in a matter where Mildred Luaile of Zambia Air Force ZAF Twin Palm area is charged with assault on a child. Particulars of the offense are that on the 25th of March 2019 in Lusaka, Luaile assaulted a child under the age of 16, occasioning bodily harm. The state brought 8 witnesses to testify in the matter, and the 8-year-old victim had testified that whenever her aunt was abusing her, she used to put a knife on the stove until it gets hot, and that is when she would burn her whilst her hands are tied. The victim also disclosed to the court that the accused had once poured hot water on her because she accidentally bent her cousin, and also made her to sleep in the garage because she was bedwetting. Magistrate Chavala in the last court sitting found the accused with a case to answer after the state had established a prima facie case against her. The matter came up this morning and was adjourned to the 7th of October 2020 for her to give her side of the story. The arrest of the accused came after a video which went viral on social media where the victim was explaining the alleged assault to the officers. And in other news stories, Lusaka Magistrate Judith Chiaika has overruled the application to have the matter in which Lusaka lawyer Nathaniel Nawa Inambao charged with forgery be dismissed. The accused lawyer applied that the matter be dismissed after the state failed to present 2 state witnesses and accused them of using a tactic method to delay the case. This is in a matter in which Inambao and Nathaniel Nawa of ICN legal practitioners and Chibonga Muwanga are both charged with 1 count of forgery, in which it is alleged that the 2 accused forged a dead man's will. Magistrate Chiaika dismissed the application on condition that it has no enough reasons and granted the adjournment. The accused were appearing before court for continued trial. More details in this report.
The Lusaka's Magistrate Court this morning adjourned until October 2020 the continued trial of a forgery case involving a Lusaka lawyer. In this case, Nathaniel Inambao has been accused of forgery, in which he is alleged that he and his co-accused Chibonga Muwanga forged a dead man's will, an offense which they denied. When the matter was called before Magistrate Judith Chiaika, the lawyer representing the accused applied that the matter be dismissed on condition that the state was using tactics to delay the case. This was after the state informed the court that they were not ready to proceed with trial, as the arresting officer who was supposed to testify was not before court. Earlier, the defense had applied that the court issues a warrant of contempt of court against the arresting officer who was not before court. However, in a ruling, the magistrate overruled the application, stating that there is no enough reasons to dismiss the case, as the court's record shows no summons was issued to the witness, nor the arresting officer can be cited for contempt. Allegations are that between January 26, 2018 and June 30, 2018, the accused allegedly forged a will by purporting to show that it was genuinely issued and signed by Donna Chimfwembe, the deceased, when in fact not. In the second count, Mubanga, who at the time of the arrest was a legal assistant, is charged alone for allegedly altering the forged will. Particulars of the offense are that between the same dates in Lusaka, Mubanga allegedly altered the same forged will for the late Donna Chimfwembe Tumutale Chimfwembe, the deceased relative. The late Mr. Chimfwembe, who was an accountant at the University of Zambia, died in January 2017, and before his death, he and his wife divorced by mutual consent in the Lusaka's Magistrate Court 2014. He later remarried a woman who is indicated in the will as an executor of the disputed document. After his death, it emerged that he left behind a will prepared by legal practitioners, but his children and his first wife relatives raised concern on its context and later observed that the signature on the will was not the late Mr. Chimfwembe's. The matter was then reported to the police, where a handwriting expert, Thomas Perry, conducted a thorough examination and observed that the disputed signature did not match the random specimen signature samples of the late Mr. Chimfwembe. The matter comes up on the 23rd of October 2020 for continuation of trial. Miriam Kemba reporting for Camnet TV News in Lusaka.
United Party for National Development UPND has advised its members in Southern Province to stay away from President Edgar Lungu's lane as he visits Southern Province. UPND National Chairperson Mutale Nalumango told the media that President Lungu is scheduled to visit Southern Province soon, hence the warning to party members. She explains that President Lungu, as the head of state, has jurisdiction to visit any part of the country, but that the party does not want to be accused of instigating wild behavior, like last time when alleged UPND youth jeered the president. It is alleged that President Lungu will visit 3 chiefs in the province, among them Chief Koma, Chief Chifwenuku and Chief Mwanza, after the traditional leaders sought audience with him. MS is accusing the PF of organizing themselves to jeer the president and blame it on the UPND. But when contacted for a comment, Patriotic Front Deputy Secretary General Mumbi Piri has denied having such plans, adding that the PF is aware of their plans.
Warn them that such a scheme is evil, is criminal in nature, should not be allowed at all. But for us as a party, we want to advise our people, the Zambians, all our people in Southern Province, to stay away from any of the activities that the President Edgar Lungu will be carrying out. He can go there, but let our people completely stay away so that we have no room for him to create the impression that he wants to create in order to arrest our president. We are aware that some of our members may be used to testify against the president. That will not be allowed. And therefore the nation must know that there are desperate moves that the Patriotic Front and the president, who is supposed to be Republican president, but always feels he's PF president, are planning. The schemes are known to us.
And in other news stories, police in Lusaka have summoned Opposition Movement for Multi-Party Democracy, MMD, Nevis MUMBA. Dr. Mumba's call-out is in relation to a press briefing he addressed on Monday this week, where he made a lot of pronouncements relating to the Lukasha parliamentary seat. The MMD leader accused the PF of having engaged in widespread electoral malpractices, amongst them rigging, vote buying and violence. The call-out addressed to Dr. Mumba was received by Party National Secretary Elizabeth Chitika. Dr. Mumba has been summoned to appear before the police on Monday next week at Woodlands Police Station. On Tuesday, whilst appearing on Camnet TV News Desk Live, Dr. Mumba hinted that the state was planning to take him to court. The opposition leader, Dr. Nevis Mumba, is currently out of town. Civil Society Scaling Up Nutrition Coordinator Matthews Mohuru has challenged government to increase its budgetary allocation towards nutrition-sensitive areas, and particularly the social protection sector. In an interview with Camnet TV, Muhuru says over the years, the country has seen a reduction in these sectors, which have high demand, especially now that the food security is being threatened. He notes that government needs to ensure that those living within the poverty lines are helped through programs such as social cash transfer, meaning that more resources need to be allocated to social protection. He adds that with the advent of COVID-19 and the red locust outbreak, food security is at risk and government needs to prepare for the eventuality in 2021. Finance Minister Walyangandu will present the 2021 national budget this Friday, 25th September 2020.
Just social protection itself, we've seen that conditions and circumstances have really increased vulnerability, and just for people to cope, for people to really survive and be healthy and not have any other conditions that would come as a result of vulnerability should really be key. So over the last 2 years, we've seen situations where floods, droughts have increased food insecurity for people in the southern half as well as in the northern half of the country. All of that stuff was not planned for, and it becomes a very difficult situation just for government to also deal with that. Now we have a locust situation in some parts of southern, central, as well as western province. And if you look at central and southern and western province, these are places where livestock farming is a really big component. So the country's livestock is mainly in these two provinces, southern and western. So if at all the locusts are allowed to deplete all the grazing area, the grazing land for the animals, then it's just going to be a very difficult situation for livestock farming in those areas, as well as also just for food security. We're at a time when food production is about to begin because we're in the rainy season. So if locusts are not also just dealt with, it will pose a huge challenge to just the food security situation of the country. So we expect, just the social protection budget to really increase. We need to see government putting in place social cash transfer programs that would meet the needs of the vulnerable population.
Meanwhile, Civil Society for Poverty Reduction, CSPR, is concerned about the reduction of social protection's budgetary allocation for the last 3 years. Organization Executive Director Dr. Stella Mungaela says the situation has impacted negatively on programs that are earmarked to uplift the living standards of the majority of Zambians. Dr. Mungaela therefore says CSPR expects that government will allocate more resources to social protection programs to a tune of 5% of the total national budget. She adds that the health sector has also suffered a blow in the last 3 years, stating that its allocation has never reached the internationally recognized standards of 15% allocation as per Abuja Declaration. Health sector national budget allocation in 2018 was 9.5%. In 2019, it dropped to 9.3%, and in 2020, it further dropped to 8.8% of the total budget, thereby affecting service delivery. Dr. Mungaela says this is a matter of concern, especially at the pace that the country is in. Let's get the details in this report.
The Ministry of Finance issued a media announcement that the 2021 national budget will be presented on the 25th of September 2020, and further invited stakeholders, including the general public and business community, to submit proposals for consideration in the 2021 budget and the 2021 to 2023 medium-term expenditure framework. Therefore, in response to this call, CSPR has the following 2021 budget expectations. Under social protection, the Civil Society for Poverty Reduction observes that budgetary allocation towards social protection for the past 3 years, that is from 2018, has been reducing. For example, in 2018, social protection was allocated 3.2%, 2019, 2.5%, and in 2020, 2.4% of the total national budget, respectively. This situation, I must say, has impacted negatively on programs that are earmarked to uplift the living standards of the majority Zambians. CSPR therefore expects that government will allocate more resources to social protection programs to a tune of at least 5% of the total national budget.
The Economics Association of Zambia is encouraged that the Zambian government has joined other countries in implementing measures aimed at cushioning the negative economic effects of COVID-19, among which is debt management. Mr. Habazoka says the association was delighted to see the Zambian government appoint Lazard Ferres as financial advisor to help restructure its external debt, as a practice is around the world for countries with bonds actively trading on international capital markets. He has since assured the markets and citizens that the current solicitation to suspend coupon payments is part of the debt management strategy Zambia has embarked on with the help of Lazard and should not be treated as a default. The public solicitation is part of the procedure any bond issuer has to go through in such circumstances. He says the association will continue engaging the Minister of Finance in a public discussion to discuss, amongst other things, the 2021 budget and debt management. You're still watching the Camnet TV main news with Banda Tandi, where we do take our second set of commercials and return with more news stories. Do stay with us.
The Food Reserve Agency, FRA, wishes to inform small-scale farmers countrywide that it has received funding from government and has since started buying maize, paddy rice and soya beans for national strategic food reserves. Farmers are therefore requested to deliver their crops to any nearest FRA satellite depot countrywide and note that payments are made upon delivery of their crops and processing of documentation as cash is available. FRA, securing national strategic food reserves, taking wealth to rural Zambia.
I have used Oracle Pure Glycerin for 2 years now. It has really worked for me. It has cleared all the black spots on my face. It has restored my skin beauty. It also smoothens the skin. Try Oracle Pure Glycerin for perfect skin. If it's not Oracle Glycerin, then it's not pure glycerin.
Stay home, stay safe. Times have changed. With the advent of the coronavirus, Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company would like to advise its esteemed customers to avoid visiting crowded places. You don't have to move to pay your water bill. You can do it in the convenience of your home. You can pay your water bills through Zanaco Zapit, Stanbic Bank, Standard Chartered Bank, and FNB. You can also use Airtel, MTN, and Zamtel Kwacha mobile money transfer services. For any inquiries to report a fault, please contact our customer service on +260 211 251 571, +260 975 618 618, and toll-free line 5957, Zamtel only. You can also simply email customerservice@lwsc.com. This public announcement is brought to you by the Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company. Water is life. Sanitation is health.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. We continue with our news stories. The Bank of Zambia, BOZ, and Drug Enforcement Commission, DEC, says they have made progress with regards to the ongoing investigations into the operations of Ono Savings and Credit Association, OSCA, and Comserve Credit Union, Comserve. In a joint statement issued to Camnet TV, the two organizations say the interest of all stakeholders will be protected while the due process of law takes its full course. They say this requires that investigations are thorough and comprehensive, adding that members of the public should be calm. Meanwhile, Bank of Zambia says it has made substantial progress in consolidating the membership database for OSCA and Comsave, and it is expected to conclude this process within the next few weeks. The membership database will form the basis for verification exercise that shall be conducted thereafter. COMSIV and Oscar Southern Province-based saving groups, which have been under investigations by the DEC and BOZ for potential money laundering offences predicated by the breach of the BFSA and other statutes of the Republic of Zambia. In other news, government says national values are important and an important aspect of the country's development, hence the need for people and governance-related issues to help government achieve its goal. Ministry of National Guidance and Religious Affairs Permanent Secretary Reverend Howard Sikwela says national values are a compass of running government business and personal lives for success to be attained. He says this critical ingredient, vital in the development of the nation, can only be achieved if people adhere to the values and guidelines. The PS says a better Zambia can be attained if everyone plays their part in ensuring that national values are followed. Reverend Sikwela was speaking during an orientation meeting for national values and principles at Focal Points in Lusaka on Wednesday.
A critical ingredient in the development of our country, ladies and gentlemen. However, this development can only be achieved once adherence to these values and principles is strictly followed by all Zambians, and not just the Ministry of National Guidance and Religious Affairs. We can achieve and attain a better Zambia if only all of us participated in ensuring that the national values and principles are adhered to. It is the duty of all focal point persons, as you are being inducted today, to ensure that these national values are followed. Our national values are a compass to the running of government business and one's personal life. They influence our attitudes, behavior, and the conduct as a people. You may wish to note that for our ministry to adequately serve its purpose and remain relevant to its cause, there is need that we move with the needs and the demands of society. The needs and the demands of our country yesterday are different from those of today. So we have to remain relevant. For us to adequately and effectively communicate to all our stakeholders, the ministry, working with the other stakeholders, have since translated the information, education, and communication materials in 7 local major languages, namely
Ndola Mayor Amon Chisenga has called on all residents to turn up for the general cleaning exercise this Saturday, September 26th, 2020. His reminder comes in the wake of realizing that most people in Ndola have not been observing this day, hence making the call once again. The cleaning exercise is under the Make Zambia Clean, Green and Healthy campaign, a campaign that was launched in 2018 in an effort to encourage cleanliness and hygiene countrywide. Meanwhile, the mayor has also reminded the people to observe COVID-19 guidelines such as mask up as they participate in the cleaning exercise on Saturday. In this regard, all business premises will remain closed to clients from 7 hours to 10 hours to allow for the general cleaning. The mayor will be in attendance and has encouraged all the councillors to be part of this important exercise. This is contained in a video statement issued to Camnet TV by Ndola City Council Public Relations Manager Rebecca Moshota.
His Worship the Mayor, Mr. Amon Chisenga, is calling on all residents of Ndola to turn up in numbers this Saturday, September 26, 2020, to participate in the general cleaning. This is under the Make Zambia Clean, Green and Healthy campaign. It was suspended for a little bit because of COVID-19, but it has been resumed following the relaxation of some measures. So everybody is supposed to participate in the cleanup on Saturday from 07 hours to 10 hours. And because of that, all business premises will remain closed from 7 hours to 10 hours to facilitate for the cleanup.
And in other news stories, the Department of Immigration has dispelled alarming reports trending on some social media platforms to the effect that government has halted the issuance of all tourist visas until further notice, suspended the issuance of visas on arrivals, and is only permitting entry to essential travelers. In a statement issued to the media by Immigration Department Public Relations Officer Martin Shinka, says there is no change to Zambia's current visa regime and all types of travelers are free to visit Zambia. He adds that depending on the traveler's nationality, he or she may enter Zambia without a visa, obtain the visa on arrival or from a Zambian mission abroad, or apply for an e-visa. The department, however, says travelers are required to observe COVID-19 safety and prevention measures prior to their travel, on arrival, and during their stay in the country as guided by the Ministry of Health. The Department of Immigration wishes to set the record straight on travel restrictions and requirements for persons wishing to come to Zambia for various purposes.
The Department of Immigration wishes to set the record straight on travel restrictions and requirements for persons wishing to come to Zambia for various purposes. Contrary to alarming reports trending on some social media platforms to the effect that the government has halted the issuance of tourist visas until further notice, suspended the issuance of visas on arrival, and is only permitting entry to essential travelers, there has been no change to Zambia's current visa regime, and all types of travelers are free to visit Zambia. Therefore, depending on the traveler's nationality, he or she may enter Zambia without a visa, may obtain the visa on arrival from a Zambian mission abroad, or indeed apply for an e-visa. However, travelers are required to observe COVID-19 safety and prevention measures prior to their travel, on arrival, and during their stay in the country as guided by the Ministry of Health. For instance, tourists and business visitors must be in possession of a negative COVID-19 test conducted within the previous 14 days. All Zambian nationals and returning residents who do not have symptoms will observe a mandatory 14-day quarantine at home. This will also cover holders of certificates of status as established residents, investors, employment, and spouse permit holders. Comprehensive guidelines covering key topics such as visas, arrival procedures at airports, safety guidelines for the tourism industry, and airport preventive measures are available on our website www.zambiaimmigration.gov.zm. The Department of Immigration wishes to urge the traveling public to verify any COVID-19 related travel information, with government institutions mandated to provide such information to avoid being misled and even inconvenienced in case they fail to meet the prevailing entry requirements. Our website has a dedicated page for COVID-19 related information, which is regularly updated with the latest COVID-19 related information.
Still to come is our international and sports news. Do stay tuned.
To create a positive difference in people's lives, one must first understand the way people live. At Savenda, we're here for our community, our partners, and our future, as a nation and as a continent.
Back in 1997, we decided we were going to create this family journey into a bigger opportunity, and created a business called Savenda, which meant save nations to develop Africa.
It's always important to give back to the people. The government cannot do everything, but as business entities, we'll be able to reach a lot of people.
From our humble beginnings in the telecoms and mining sectors to our work in energy and development projects, we know how important it is to be true to our roots.
Our services have to be diversified so that we don't depend on one income stream. Back in the village, I was growing up hunting and doing everything that a village boy would like to do. When you're hunting, you don't depend on one trap, for example. You have to have many traps. So those survival skills brought into the business created opportunities that we learned from a young age that you can't survive with just one product. Savenda Group involves Savenda Management, which is a consulting, Savenda Express, which is a corporate branding company, Savenda Electric, which is a manufacturer of energy-saving bulbs, Savenda General Insurance, which is a general insurance company, Savenda Fresh Produce, Cyber Africa, which is a center for just dealing with cyber security.
Now, Savenda is combining local knowledge with international expertise. It's time to be a part of Zambia's rising success. and Africa's exciting future.
We are a gateway into Africa, and now we are praying with global companies who are coming to Zambia for opportunities and to look for companies that are homegrown, and we are proud to be one of those.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. In our international news, at least 140,000 homes are now known to have been damaged and destroyed in Sudan's floods. Huge amounts of farmland are also underwater, and victims admit that it is unlikely that government can help them recover. In other news, but in Mali, isolated and sanctioned by the neighbors, millions have marked 60 years of independence from France. The muted celebrations come a month after the military coup that brought the country and region into a crisis. Colonel Assimi Goïta, leader of the National Committee for the Salvation of the People, which overthrew Mali's President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta, who was appointed as vice president. Al Jazeera has more.
This is what's left of Ali Abdullah's home in Gilea, in Sudan's River Nile state. He says his farm used to extend from here to the banks of the Nile, nearly 2 kilometers away. Now the river is one with the farm, destroying what was his main source of income.
I used to live in this house with my kids and their families. That's all gone now. And the farm where I used to plant onions and nuts is all destroyed. I've lost nearly $20,000 because of the floods, but that's just from what I had ready for harvest this season. Now I can't farm for winter, and I don't know if I'll get any government assistance.
Ali says it's hard for him to know exactly how much financial damage the floods have done to his farm. He'll have to wait until the waters dry out completely to find out. His village of Gilea is one of dozens on the banks of the Nile in River Nile state that was destroyed by floods. Countrywide, hundreds of villages were also destroyed because of the river rising to levels not seen in a century. At least 120 people have been killed, and more than 600,000 have been displaced. Most now are waiting for government response to cope with the situation after losing either most or all of their belongings.
We need the government to come and take care of the water that's in the houses, because the water is now mixed with sewage water from the latrines that collapsed. We need to avoid malaria, cholera and bilharzia, because we can't deal with diseases on top of losing our homes.
The damage in Shagalwa village, nearly 5 kilometers away, has forced all of its 1,000 families out of their homes. Most had relied on farming and livestock for income, both devastated by the floods. A village which residents say was once vibrant, with schools, markets and farms, now look like this. Their homes either damaged or destroyed. Sudan's government, which has declared a state of emergency, says the Nile has receded in many parts of the country. It's distributed tents and food aid to help those affected in the state, but many say it's not enough. Even as the level of the Nile River drops to where it was prior to the floods, Sudan's government and aid organizations say the impact of the damage will continue for months, with agriculture, healthcare and economy all affected. And here in River Nile states, the residents say a slow response will make the effects last even longer. El Shefa Taifour asked to get on the boat with us to see what remains of her family home. She couldn't help but break down when she saw what she's lost.
This house is where I lived with my mother and father. It's the home where I got married and had my kids and where my grandkids were born. All those memories were in this house I've lost. But I thank God my children and grandchildren are alive and were away when the house collapsed. I'm now waiting to know government plans to help us recover and rebuild.
A recovery that may take months, if not years, in a country already facing an economic crisis and where more than 60% live in poverty. Many say they expect the economic situation to worsen in the coming weeks if no help is offered.
A parade to mark 60 years of independence. Leading the celebration is the military commander who forced Mali's President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta to resign last month, Assimi Goïta, who's now been named interim vice president. In an address to the nation, Goïta announced the concession he made to the West African body ECOWAS's demands to name a civilian president, the retired colonel and former defense minister, Bandao. At the age of 70, he's supposed to represent the aspirations of young Malians calling for an end to corruption and bad governance. Ndao resigned from Keïta's government in 2014 after disagreeing with the former president's plan to integrate armed groups into the Malian military.
He's an honest man and a patriot. These are criteria we need in our leaders. But alone, he won't make it. We all collectively have to help him.
Despite the announcement, the West African body ECOWAS has not lifted the sanctions it imposed after the military took power last month. Borders with the landlocked country remain closed and financial transactions have been halted. ECOWAS's chief negotiator, Goodluck Jonathan, is expected in Bamako on Wednesday. The sanctions are not just affecting Malians, but also West African countries. Here in Senegal, 60% of its exports go to its neighboring country, Mali. Now that trade is at a standstill. West African leaders want to see an end to this crisis as soon as possible. Ndao and Goita are expected to be sworn in on Friday for a period of 18 months, enough time to organize new elections.
Well, it's about having a state that can deliver, a strong state, institutions, have systems in place, checks and balances, have a government, a state that can deliver on people's needs, public services, education, health, but also mainly security.
Nearly 1 million Malians are displaced because of fighting with armed groups in the north and center of the country. Half of the population is dependent on humanitarian aid, and 4,000 French soldiers remain on the ground. 60 years after its independence, Malians are still seeking their founding promise of peace, prosperity, and the prospect of a better future.
We're now going to our sports news. And in our sports news, the team involving Zambia under-15 national team and North Macedonia has been postponed to Saturday. The organizers informed the two teams before kickoff that the game will now be played on Saturday. Head of delegation Lyson Zulu said the organizers were refining a few things that had been previously anticipated. However, coach Chisimbewe's boys is using the time to prepare the fledglings ahead of tomorrow's fixture against Bosnia and Herzegovina at 15 hours. Meanwhile, in the other Group B match, Romania and Bosnia and Herzegovina played out to a goalless draw. The story and video courtesy of us. That sports news item brings us to the end of the news, but before we go, a recap of the headlines. Government says national values and principles are critical to national development. Police summon MMD President Nevers MUMBA. UPND warns its members to stay away from President LUNGU in Southern Province. In our international news, 140,000 homes damaged due to floods in Sudan. And our sports news, FAS under-15 North Macedonia clash deferred to Saturday. Our Camnet World Verse of the Day is coming from the book of 2 Timothy 2 verse 15, and it reads, "Study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth." Thank you so much for joining me, Bandit Handiwo on Camnet TV, not just another channel.